Joined by the Mets general manager, Sandy Alderson. Thank you for coming by for a couple.
Happy to be here.
We appreciate it. Sandy, how important was it for the organization, considering the last few years, to have a moment like tonight, especially with Matt starting the game?
Well, I don't think we could have envisioned the way it's worked out for us baseball-wise with Matt Harvey starting the game, David starting at third base. But it's been terrific. The lead up to the game, the Futures game last night, the Home Run Derby today, everybody's really enjoying themselves. And for me, it was terrific to see Citi Field filled with 42,000 excited fans because it, I hope, is a harbinger of things to come.
Sandy, what's your early read on the trade market? Of course, trade deadline coming up later this month. And do you anticipate that the Mets are going to be active?
It's always hard to know where the market's going to be on July 31, just before the All-Star break, because things do happen pretty rapidly. From our standpoint, I think that we will try to be opportunistic, but that typically means being patient and waiting for the market to develop. My experience is that you can't force the market, and we've got some players that may generate some interest, but at the same time, we want to be as competitive as we can be the second half of the season to prove to our fans that hey, we don't have to fade every year.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And with that said, take us through the specifics on Marlon Byrd, on Bobby Parnell. Do you see a market for Bobby? And how do you balance that? Because you want to win as many games as possible. Yeah. Mets are playing a great brand of baseball over the last 3 weeks. But I think you also have to keep your eye on the prize of the future simultaneously.
Sure. Well, I think it depends on what you can get back. Bobby Parnell, we've been looking for a closer for 2.5 years. Now we seem to have found one. There's no reason for us to give him away right at the moment. But, as with almost any player, if the package is right, then you'll consider it. As far as Marlon Byrd's concerned, again, a little bit of a surprise for us this year. He's done great. He's been great in the clubhouse, and that's another factor to keep in mind. It's not just the performance on the field; it's what piece they represent in the clubhouse, and that would be true of Marlon Byrd or LaTroy Hawkins or anybody that other club might have an interest in. You do have to balance their contribution versus what you're going to get back. Now, if you're going to get a piece back for the next 5 or 6, 10 years, that's one thing. If you're going to get a modest prospect or something of that sort, which is more of a crapshoot, then what we're doing currently in the second half of the season suddenly becomes a little more important.
How do you handle Ike at this point, Sandy, in evaluating him moving forward? The next couple of months, he's a guy that's far enough down the line where money really starts to be a factor in decision-making. So how important do these next 2.5 months become for Ike Davis?
I think they're important, as have the last 3 or 4 months that haven't gone particularly well. But I think Ike understands that. I think he also understands that, again, going back to the fact that we want to win as many games as we can, this is not about a simple audition. At some point we're going to play the guys that are going to help us win. And, at the end of the season we'll make a judgment based on all of the experience that we've had. But, at this point, Ike needs to perform. And, Josh Satton's done a nice job for us. He's earned more playing time. And, if we can keep Ike in the strike zone, then I think he can have some success. But he knows what he has to do, and it's time for him to execute.
Sandy, if you can, separate fact from fiction on Jordany Valdespin. What happened? There's been a lot of conversation. And with a player like Jordany, and it's been documented, his personality quirks, when do the negatives outweigh the positives?
Well, the negatives outweigh the positives Saturday.
Yeah. So what was the tipping point?
Well, I think you put together. First of all, from our standpoint, we needed another pitcher, and so it was a question of who was going to go out. We could have sent one of the pitchers who'd pitched the night before, but somebody like Herman, maybe Burke. But at the same time, we felt they were available to us. We'd hesitated on Valdespin earlier because we didn't really have anybody to back up at shortstop. But we figured we could go one game without that kind of backup. We have to put David Wright at shortstop if we had to for one game. Turner's about ready to come back. We've even said to ourselves, look, Tovar at AA, if we have to, we can bring him back. So, Jordany's hitting 180, coming off the bench, which is tough. The at-bats hadn't gotten any better, and we just figured it was time. So,
will we see him again with the big club this year? What does he have to show you in terms of offense, in terms of personality in the minor leagues?
More than we've seen. So it's possible we'll see him again, sure.
Terry Collins, done, I think everybody would agree, pretty good job here in the first half. What do you see as his future? Is he going to be your manager here long term?
Well, he's done a great job the first half, and the big thing for us over the last couple of years has been the second half of the season. I think we're in a little different position now because we're not selling, we're not moving players out, we're actually bringing players in and giving various guys a shot. Terry's done a great job of managing the personnel turnover, stabilizing the rotation. We lost 3 of our starting pitchers at the beginning of the year, and our starting pitching has still been outstanding. The bullpen is starting to solidify a little bit. Sorry that Torres is not there, but Terry's done a great job across the board. So, and I've been a big fan of his from the very beginning, continue to be. I'm hoping that we show a little better in the second half, and hope Terry's with us for a lot longer than the remainder of this year.